Hi, I'm Franklin Maxwell.
I'm Max Kaplan.
I'm Milan Whitehead.
And I'm Joy Thompson.
And this is our project. It's our classroom as a makerspace. Our theme for this English class was makers and makerspaces. And for the past few weeks, we have been trying and working to figure out how we can create our English class, this classroom, as a makerspace. So, to give you some background on makerspaces, Joy.
Okay, so there are like 4 important parts of the background that I'm going to explain to you. The first one is about the maker movement in general. A good quote about this is from the Maker Manifesto, which is, "Making is fundamental to what it means to be a human. We must make, create, and express ourselves to feel the world. There is something unique about making physical things. These things are like little pieces of us and seem to embody portions of our soul." So pretty much the maker movement is about the idea that we have people suddenly realize hey, making is actually an important part of being a human. Like, in order when we make tangible things, it fulfills something in us. So that's kind of the beginning of how the maker movement became popular. Okay. Another quote that's really interesting, which is from the Makerspace magazine, which is kind of is kind of a very stable part of the maker movement, is as the movement has gathered increasing momentum, makers have created their own market ecosystem, developing new products and services. The combination of ingenious makers and innovative technologies such as our genome microcontroller and personal 3D printing are driving innovation in manufacturing, engineering, industrial design, hardware technology, and education. So pretty much one thing that this is pointing out too is that since we've had this new industrial revolution, so much new technology, that has fueled this new idea that we can actually, everyone can be a maker and everyone can make things and be part of this movement. Okay. Another quote, which is a good quote, I think this is from Anderson, is, "So too for the maker movement, today it is full of people who are dazzled by the potential of the industrial quality tools now appearing on their desktops. We are all designers now, it's kind of good, get good at it." This is the same thing of the idea that we all can make things now, and it's at the tip of our fingertips, and so we all should become part of this movement. Okay. So the next thing that's important to understand is, since we are trying to prove why our classroom can be a makerspace, what is a makerspace? The definition of a makerspace, according to the Maker Manifesto, is a makerspace is a center of workspace where like-minded people get together to make things. Some members are designers, writers, practitioners of law, architects, or other white-collar types who come in and who start making things for themselves or their families. So pretty much by definition, it's a group of people who come together, who all want to make things, and they want to support each other in their making of things. And usually makerspaces will have a lot of tools in order to make that, whether it's writing something or whether it's physical things to make tools like 3D printers. Okay. Another thing, so to go on to one of the other points, is how a school is a makerspace. So one of the good quotes from this is, "Many makers are hobbies enthusiasts or students, which are amateurs, but they are also the wellspring of innovation, creating new products and producing value in the community." So pretty much what this is saying is that anyone can be a maker. So why not start at the classroom, because you have all these students together, why they can start building things, whether they're writing something or creating something, and they have the help of tools and the help of other students and teachers in order to guide them in making things. Another good quote from Anderson is, "Today school children learn how to use PowerPoint and Excel as part of their computer class, and they still learn to draw and sculpt in art class. But think how much better it would be if they could choose a third option, which would be design class. Imagine a course where kids would learn to use 3D CAD tools such as Sketchbook or Autodesk 123D. Some would build design buildings and fantastic structures, much as they would sketch in their notebooks already." So pretty much what the point of this quote is saying is, now since students have such great access to so many different programs in school, why not start integrating even higher programs such as these programs often used in schools like Georgia Tech, in order to teach students things so that they are learning how to design these things themselves, especially at such a young age when you can force them to in school. Okay. Another important part is project-based learning, and so the whole part of this is, one of the quotes is, "All of the educators in this community help figure out why project-based learning seems to fit some learning styles better than others, but it certainly feels more natural." And the idea of this is usually when you get students together together and you tell them, hey, like I want you to solve this problem or do this as a group, they're much better at doing it, and they're much more active and have better like creative skills when they're doing it as a group versus when you just tell them to like solve a math problem. So another, like the final part of this is like the idea of the multimedia classroom and how that fits into being a makerspace, especially since we redefine the maker movement today as like a trend towards the new technology that has come with computers and different computer programs. So one of the quotes from EdTech Review is, multimedia can stimulate more than one sense at a time, and in doing so may be more attention-getting and attention-holding. It also empowers students to create and design rather than absorb representations created by others. So the important basis of this is that when they are actually designing and creating their own things, not only are they getting the fulfillment that is like obviously by the maker movement of making their own thing, but they think and they create in different ways, and especially for particular students, this is much better than just having them sit down and do work. It also provides students with suitable learning resources according to their own abilities. Like I was just saying, like some students learn differently. Sometimes it's not always better just have them memorize facts from a book. Educators who can use YouTube to provide visual learners, audio videos, podcasts, auditory learners, like all different types of things for different types of learners, and that's also from the EdTech Review. Also, like I was saying before, it allows for collaboration. Multimedia tools such as blogs, social media networks, wikis, they enable those students to like talk with each other and provide feedback for each other, which is also important to like creating a good makerspace where everyone is collaborating with each other. So that's pretty much the last of my thing, so it's just important to understand what the maker movement is and how it kind of like builds up to why we should make our classroom into a makerspace.
Okay, so I did the statement of values for our project, which basically breaks down for me into 5 key rules that would govern any makerspace classroom. You can see the 5 rules right here. First of all, we have imagination is key, because without any good ideas, you will not have any makerspaces at all. So basically what I'm saying here is that you need innovation. So the makerspace needs a place or needs ideas that would incorporate people like brainstorming their ideas, and to be able to practice brainstorming techniques in the classroom as well. And also just at the very beginning of a course or a classroom is a makerspace, you would need to have like the techniques of brainstorming as well as just pure just rote brainstorming, seeing how many ideas you can possibly get out there. So next we go into the proper advising and training is necessary, meaning that all the teachers in this classroom would have to be trained differently than normal professors. They would have to know how to use all these CAD machines, all these 3D printers, and they would have to, what would make this also better is you'd probably have to use different teachers for different parts of the section. Not one teacher would be as proficient in teaching every part as would normally be the way in like a math or like science class, since there's so many things that can go into a makerspace kind of project. You might need one teacher that teaches imagination type stuff, one teacher that teaches the actual construction parts of it, and one teacher that might teach the presenting parts in the makerspace, like how to put a web page to present your makerspace and that kind of stuff. So the third part is practice makes perfect. It means the more ideas you can make in a makerspace, the better it is. But also one point that I was like is practice makes permanent. So this would go back to the part of you need proper advising and training. Because if you start practicing the wrong kinds of ideas and building the wrong kinds of stuff with a 3D printer, or just first of all, you could break the equipment, which is never very cheap to get new ones. And also, if you learn wrong the first time, you might keep going the second and third times as well, which would really hinder your idea to progress as a maker. Also, for practice makes perfect, you just need to do just as many projects as you can right off the bat. Just to get a bunch of makers' ideas underneath your belt. Because the more you do, the more you're going to have new ideas, the more you're going to be able to expand on those ideas or combine those ideas to make an even better project, and so on and so on. And you also need to realize that failure, if you fail one time, that's not going to be the end-all, be-all for your project. So I put down here, live and learn is what you need to do. You need to practice with your makerspace, and when it fails, which it most likely will, you're going to have to go back and come up with a new idea or revamp that idea that you currently have. Next we have constructive criticism is always welcome. What I mean by that is you want helpful, not hurtful criticism. So instead of tearing someone's project idea and telling them it's a horrible idea, tell them what they can do to make their idea better. And this comes from everybody in the classroom, not just the teacher, not just your classmates, but also yourself too. You need to be a self-critic. An important part here is that hypocrisy is definitely something that we do not want in the classroom. So if you're telling somebody that their project looks horrible when your project might even look worse than theirs, that is something that there's no room for in this Makerspace as a classroom. Finally, we have the my favorite one is that a final product is never a final product and it always can be improved. So as we know, technology is always advancing. There's always something that can be done better. And by this, I'm trying to say is, you know, like how software company, like there's a new iOS that comes out every year or every 6 months. So there's something always that can be done better. And so that's the same, you guys, with your Makers project. You can always keep revamping it, and it's never going to be perfect. There's that's kind of like the main idea of Maker's mentality is perfect is never perfect. Something can always be improved. So the same thing will definitely hold true with any project that is done here. And so next we have Emmeline to talk to you about the part of the project.
Okay, so I am doing the call to action, which is basically like why teachers should do this in the first place. And I basically came up with 3 points, which is collaboration, problem solving, and productivity. So classrooms should be more like makerspaces to improve the overall learning experience, because working in the real world takes more collaboration than is available in an average classroom. So by turning the classroom to mimic a makerspace, there would be much more group work and teamwork between students that would provide experience that they need. Collaboration can help students develop accountability and the ability to come up with answers to questions they would not normally encounter if they were working on their own. It's always good for students to hear others' opinions, like Franklin was saying, and get feedback on their work, and makerspaces give an opportunity to work together in ways that a normal classroom doesn't. So that's that. So then problem solving, it can be hard to come up with a solution to something that's just written on paper or read in a book, but when you have a physical thing or a project that you're working on, then students can come up with practical solutions and try them out in a makerspace. So through trial and error, students will develop problem-solving skills that they can use on other projects and areas of learning. So the last thing is productivity, and it's basically that students learn more by doing, and it's proven that the average attention span of a college student in a classroom is 10 to 15 minutes. And a quote from the Teaching Center says, "Most university classes last 50 to 90 minutes, much longer than the attention span of a typical student. Sustained attention varies widely, and the quality of attention depends on several factors, including time of day, motivation, emotion, and enjoyment. However, it is proven that students are more actively participating in activities during class will have a longer attention span. So a makerspace would make the best use of that 50 to 90 minutes in the classroom because it keeps students interested and engaged in whatever project they're working on." So in conclusion to our call to action, research shows that students learn best by doing. So a classroom whose purpose is to make things instead of just hearing about them would be ideal to making the best of classroom time by collaborating with others, solving real-world problems, and improving the productivity of class time.
So, as you've heard from my group mates here, makerspaces as a classroom seem like a great idea, but the real question is, why should we as students care about a classroom transforming into a makerspace? Well, the answer is really quite simple when you think about it. It allows the classroom to be taken into the 21st century. And what I mean by that is it allows students to handle technology, 3D printers, laser cutters, anything that they wouldn't normally handle on a day-to-day basis. So, what does this allow the students to do? It allows them to work with technology that they've never done before. And there's a quote by Red Puckett here that says, "Makerspaces start with students and operate on the assumption that everyone is a maker." I feel that she means that transforming classrooms into a makerspace allows students to not be constrained by typical standards of a classroom. It allows more freedom in thinking. It allows creativity, uniqueness, anything that can really get creative juices flowing in a student, makerspaces allow. So in closing, the reason why we should care about this as students is because these classrooms can help us find something that we want to do, find a topic, anything that we want to learn about, and approach it in a unique way that is not a traditional classroom, pen and paper, notebook, laptop setting. and it allows us to really dive into what we want to learn and in a way that we want to learn.